Right now, we're again honored and pleased that we have Catherine Herridge on the line from the Fox News Channel. Catherine, good afternoon.
Hi there. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So I understand that is it some warrants or some subpoenas that have been issued in this case with the emails?
Sure. Okay. So these new records came to light as the result of this sexting investigation into Anthony Wiener. Anthony Wiener is the estranged husband of one of Hillary Clinton's sort of closest aides, Huma Abedin. At the end of September, there was a warrant issued for that computer, and it was turned over to FBI agents in New York. And in the course of searching that computer for evidence relating to the sexting case as well as child pornography, they started coming across these emails that were from Huma Abedin. They got additional authorities, it's called, to then search further and look at the Abedin emails, and they started finding records from the Clinton email server. And it was at that point that they sort of blew the whistle, if you will, and there was a briefing to the FBI here in Washington, and they had to obtain a separate warrant to look at those records because those records were not part of the original sexting investigation. You know, they have to keep the evidence clean, right? They need to show, in effect, sort of a chain of custody and that they properly obtained it. So
Sure.
What's happening right now is that they have a warrant. The FBI agents in the email case can now start looking through the records, but it's not a situation where they're opening up a copy of the hard drive from Anthony Wiener's computer and they're just searching through, looking for ClintonEmail.com. They have to develop a program which has sort of key locating terms, and they use that program to run through the computer to try and identify and isolate what they're interested in. So this is a very long answer because it's a very long process, in fact. Okay?
Right.
It's not something that is instantaneous, and this is why what we have been told since the letter came to light Friday is that there was really no expectation in the Bureau that they could complete this work prior to the election because simply too many records were involved.
I read somewhere, and maybe you've heard this same thing from your sources, that the records contained in this folder hadn't been accessed in a while. They may be 3 or 4 years old. That would cover the period of time when Secretary Clinton was in office, correct?
Right. My colleague, Brett Baer, was able to get some information from a contact who's sort of close to Anthony Wiener's legal team. And he was told that the emails got onto the computer because they used the computer to back up Huma Abedin's contact list.
Okay.
And in the process of backing up the contact list, it backed up all the emails as well. And I'm not sure why the records seemed to stop about 3 or 4 years ago, but Brett's information was that, you know, this period when she was Secretary of State was definitely in those records.
We're talking to Catherine Herridge from the Fox News Channel. I saw that the Clinton campaign put out something on Twitter regarding this and trying to poo-poo the content of whatever's been discovered. Part of what they claimed is that there's no evidence that any of this came from Hillary Clinton or from Hillary Clinton's email server, but that's not at all what you just said, right?
I'm not. I don't. I guess it depends on what you define as to and from. I mean, I know that sounds a little crazy, but if you have a record, I mean, it was. Let me just back up a second. Huma Abedin testified to the FBI in her interview that it was her practice to take her government emails and to forward them to her personal Yahoo account to print them because it was much easier for her to handle that setup than the sort of clumsy State Department system, as she described it. And we already know from records released by Judicial Watch that there were emails from from Hillary Clinton herself and some containing very sensitive information that were forwarded to the personal Yahoo account. So I know what I know through my reporting, which is that they got positive hits for the Clinton email server, and they got positive hits for the State Department. I think the short answer is that given that they haven't had a chance to even read these records, I don't see how the campaign can know that.
Right. Catherine, the Wall Street Journal this weekend had a great article talking about some of the pushback that the FBI was getting on another concurrent investigation into the Clinton Foundation. Have you done any reporting on that?
Okay, so we first reported that the email investigation had expanded to public corruption back in January, and we took a lot of big beating on that because the Clinton campaign pushed back very hard against it. She said there was no truth to it whatsoever, and we felt very confident about our reporting because we had three separate sources. The Wall Street Journal reported last night, to their credit, that the Justice Department was, in effect, tapping the brakes on these investigations, and that the agents continued to pursue these leads despite not having the support of the Justice Department, which gives them, access to grand juries and other investigative tools that would make their work easier, and that this was the point of contention at a meeting in August between FBI officials and Justice Department officials. So the bottom line for your listeners is that at least as early as January of this year, if not before, the FBI began to look at public corruption, and there were roadblocks created by the Justice Department.
I don't want to hold you much longer. If there are 650,000 emails as has been reported, there's simply no way that this is going to be anything other than a 3, 4, 5 month investigation to get through these. Would you say? Could it be sooner?
Yeah, the 650,000. Again, it depends on how you talk about emails versus records versus documents versus attachments. But what I would say is there's just an explosive number of records on that computer. And Abedin testified under oath in a Judicial Watch deposition that it was her practice never to delete her emails ever. So this may help explain why. I'm not an expert at managing my inbox for sure, but she just never deleted anything. And this may help us explain why there's just this huge number on that computer. And it may be because of this backing up of the contacts and the emails. There may be multiple copies of the same record, right?
Could be, right.
And the FBI is going to have to determine whether there are, in fact, genuinely new records, whether there are partially new sections of records that have already been provided. And if they find new records, then they have to determine whether the new records are business records and then government business, and then they have to determine whether the information contained in them is classified intelligence. This is an extremely long process.
Absolutely.
It's not gonna happen fast.
Catherine Herridge, great reporting. Thanks for your time.
Okay.
All right. Have a good day. Thank you. Catherine Herridge from the Fox News Channel. There you have it. You're listening to it from the lady that's got the sources in Washington right now.